everybody, welcome back, and today we're going to be continuing our series on best rides for kids at Walt Disney World. Today we're going to be covering the park at Epcot and all the best rides for your toddlers and infants there. We're going to start right away because we got a lot of ground to cover. Epcot is a very, very large park, similar to Magic Kingdom, but it has a lot of perks that Magic Kingdom does not have, and you're going to get to see that in this video, so stick around for that one. The first ride we're going to talk about here is Frozen Ever After. There are 3 rides that, if you rope drop, people are normally going to gravitate towards. 1 is Test Track, 2 is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and 3, this ride, Frozen Ever After. I would highly recommend rope dropping, not rope dropping and heading to this one. I would probably make this as your first lightning lane and then go to one of the other 2 rides that you want to do. And then that way this ride's guaranteed. That way you can kind of get 2 and 2. But this ride is a really good ride. It's a boat ride. It is on water. So it's really straightforward. There is a small drop, and right at the end of the drop, they take your picture. So if you're wondering where the photo is, it's right at the end of the drop, which is after the Elsa scene of the show. So not really scary for kids. We took Asher last year. He was 3 years old on it. He had a blast. If your kids love Frozen, this is definitely going to be a must-do for them for sure. Moving on, we're going to move over into the Imagination Pavilion, into Journey into Imagination with Figment. Figment is not a character that a lot of children actually know about. There's not a lot with this character. Asher had no idea who Figment is, nor did I prior to coming to Walt Disney World. He rode the ride and absolutely loved it. I would remind you that there is a section of this ride where you kind of get skunked, where they you kind of get the smell testing, and it kind of smells really, really bad. So when Asher talks about this ride, that's what he talks about. He talks about the skunk farting. That's what left him with this ride. Not the purple dinosaur singing in a catchy song that gets stuck in your head, but the fact that there's a skunk that farts on the ride. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you have toddlers that love bright lights and really, really cool stuff, this is definitely going to be a good ride for them. Always great for the kids. So just kind of something to think about. It's definitely something you should try at least once with your kid. It is kind of a dark ride, but most of it is, pretty well lit up within the first couple sections. I think there is a dark section at the end of the ride, but it's really not too crazy. So just kind of use caution with that. Next, we're going to head over there to the most famous and most popular ride in all of Walt Disney World, Living with the Land. I really didn't even want to cover this ride because I absolutely despise this ride. It is 20 minutes long, and you are sitting on a boat for 20 minutes, and you are learning about the food processing and everything that Epcot does in their greenhouses, and it's really neat. But at the same time, it's very, very boring. Asher enjoyed the boat ride, but did not like the ride. But he did say he wanted to ride it again. So he will be the only person riding it this year. So just something to keep that in mind. It's something that you should probably try at least once. If you want to get a break from the Florida heat, this is definitely a good ride to do it. You get 20 minutes away from the blazing sun, so it's really not a big deal. Also, if you are dining at Garden Grill, you can actually, being the fact that this restaurant rotates very, very slowly, obviously, you can actually see parts of the Living with the Land ride while you're dining there at Garden Grill. So just kind of keep that in mind. Next thing we're going to go to is Mission Space. I'm doing all of these alphabetically if you haven't figured out. Mission Space has a 40-inch height requirement. So if your child is not 40 inches, then you can kind of move along from this one. This is really cool when you're simulating kids that enjoy stuff about space. I just want to warn you, this ride is very closed in. It is very, very tight. If you're claustrophobic, this ride is not for you. I'll just tell you that straight up. This is a very, very claustrophobic ride. There are 2 versions of this ride. There are the orange, and then there is, I do believe, the green. The orange is the most intense one, and the green one is really not all that intense. You know me, I go to the most intense one. That's just how we roll, right? And it's really not intense, to be honest. I definitely would not eat food right before getting on this ride. The G-forces are pretty high up there, almost similar to that of Shockwave, but not quite. Shockwave comes up at about 5.9 Gs. I'm not exactly where this one sits on the scale, but I can definitely tell you it is not Shockwave worthy G-forces, but it is up there, and it is for a longer duration. So just kind of keep that in mind, and you are kind of simulated spinning around, so that's why I wouldn't recommend eating a bunch of food before running up in there. The next one is probably one of the most popular rides at Epcot. No cap this time. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. It's great. No height requirement. Kids absolutely love this ride. Asher loves this ride. He rode it like 3 times when we were there last year. He has a blast on this thing. You're in a little mouse car and you're riding around, and it's 3D glasses, and it's all super cool. It's in the AC. About 80% of the queue is all in the AC. So if it's really hot outside and you want a break, waiting in line for this will definitely give you a break from that. It will kind of suck if you have to wait upwards of 2.5 to 3 hours to ride it. So I would definitely recommend getting a lightning lane for this. You cannot get individual lightning lanes for it, but you can reserve it. I would probably reserve it probably number 1 or number 2 starting off on your day. Definitely a very popular ride. In December, lightning lane sold out for this probably before the park opened. So very popular, very high traffic end ride there as well. Next, we're going to go to the Seas with Nemo and Friends. This is a ride similar to The Little Mermaid. It is a standing, moving queue line. I don't really think you should use a lightning lane on this because the queue is kind of like Little Mermaid. It's always moving. So you're always going to be moving towards the front of the line at some point, even if it's just a little bit at a time. It's such a great ride for kids because, you know, you go through the story of Nemo and Dory, and it's great. It's all in the AC. And then afterwards, you can go to the huge, enormous aquarium, and if you're lucky, you can even get to see divers that are in the aquarium doing their thing. They will even wave to you and take pictures. So that is all also in the AC as well. Just want to throw that out there since right now is a very hot time of the year. The next one we're going to go to is Soarin' Around the World. This is one of my favorite rides. I enjoy this ride a lot. There is a 40-inch height requirement. I don't believe this is strictly enforced. I do believe if your child is anywhere between about 38 and 39 inches, they're probably not going to say anything as long as you are riding with your child. But just kind of keep that in mind. You don't want to kind of gyp the system, so to speak. Asher's 39 inches. He's still going to be able to ride it because I'll be right there with him. It's a simulated ride. It's really cool. You don't need glasses for it or anything, but it's awesome. It's a great ride. It's all in the AC. It's beautiful. The soundtrack is amazing. I love the soundtrack for this ride. It's such a great ride. So definitely something to think about, but just kind of keep in mind there is a 40-inch height requirement on it as well. So if you have an infant, they're obviously not going to be 40 inches tall. So just kind of keep that in mind. The next ride is Spaceship Earth. I rode this in December, and I regretted riding it. This is another very long ride going through the history of technology, starting from the beginning of technology, going up to the inventions of computers and spaceships and a whole bunch of stuff like that. If you're a big technological fan and you love history, this is going to be a great ride for you. Okay, for historians, this is going to be great. And what makes this ride the only thing that makes this ride bearable is the fact that there is an interactive queue at the end of the ride where you can kind of go in and play games, similar to what they have at Test Track. We're going to cover that here in a moment. But it's great. Especially for little kids, if they want to get in there and play games and drive cars and stuff, it's really cool. They have a lot of, I think it's like kind of like air hockey type of thing, but it's really neat, really cool. And the queue where the kids can play is all in the AC. They do have one of these at the exit of the Imagination Pavilion, right outside the Figment ride. Sometimes they have characters there as well that'll do meet and greets there, where you can mess around and play and do all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely something worth checking out at least once try it at least once. Not everybody can say they got to ride the ride inside the big golf ball. Come on now. Moving along, we're going to go to Test Track. We talked about this earlier in the video. There is a 40-inch height requirement on this ride. It's not a very scary ride. If you're wondering if this ride is going to be scary, is it a roller coaster? No, it is not a roller coaster, but it is similar to a roller coaster. It's kind of like driving in a car. Realistically, you have a seatbelt like you would have in a car. It's all put together like you were riding in a car, and then I think you get upwards of about 65 miles per hour. So this is roughly the fastest ride at Walt Disney World. So it's nothing too crazy. So if you have speed demons, kids that love speed, then this is going to be definitely a must-do for them. But just like I said, kind of keep that in mind that you're going to have a 40-inch height requirement. So not all infants and toddlers are going to be able to ride this. Another one, the last one I wanted to talk about, is not a ride, but it is an experience, and that is Turtle Talk with Crush. This is over there by Nemo. Asher has not get to do it. We skipped it last year because we only had one day in Epcot, so we were trying to ride everything in the park in one day. So we kind of skipped it, but I did go to it in December, and it's pretty cool, especially for the small kids, where you get to ask Crush questions and he answers them in a funny, cute comedy way. It is a break from the heat, so just kind of keep that in mind. So definitely something to try out for your kids. Other experiences that I would highly recommend checking out at Epcot is some of the pop-up character meet and greets. If you're over by Spaceship Earth, there is a park entrance by the monorail that's right over there behind Spaceship Earth. Walk over there, and if you look to your left and look to your right, 99% of the time there are characters that are there meeting guests. Now, these characters are not always there. They pop up here and there. It's not a guaranteed place to see characters. When I went back in December, we recorded Harmonious at Epcot 3 different days. 2 times we went, there was nobody there. And then they're most likely going to be there probably about an hour or so after the park officially opens, and then probably about 2 hours before lunchtime and stuff. You just got to be on the lookout for the rare character meet and greets that are there. There's also a Mickey Mouse meet and greet over there by the Pixar Film Festival right next door to Figment. Journey into Imagination with Figment. So that's where Asher got to meet Mickey for the first time, is over there. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you get off Figment, the best thing to do is just to go up there. You'll get off Figment, you'll walk up the little rail, you'll see the funny little water where it jumps at you and stuff. Just kind of go up that way, and then you'll walk into the studio, and you'll see Mickey right there. The line for Mickey right here is usually pretty short. Even at the busiest time of the year back in December, I think I only waited 15-20 minutes to meet Mickey at that point. So a lot of people don't know about this spot. A lot of people don't know that Mickey's even there, but he's in the Imagination Pavilion. There's also Pooh that's over there on the back end of it. He's always over there trying to catch butterflies with his net, so you can get characters there. That's going to do it, man. That's pretty much a lot of stuff that your infants and toddlers would really enjoy doing. If you guys can think of anything else, make sure to let me know and let everyone else know in the comment section down below. If you guys are new, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace.